After she got her first highlights, this teenager's father turned around and did something horrible. Kelsey Frederick was about to embark on a special time in her life, turning 13 and becoming a teenager. But after a perfect mother-daughter salon date and getting highlights for the first time, her father did something horrible. Keep reading to learn what he did to his daughter on her birthday and her mother's epic reaction. It was Kelsey Frederick's 13th birthday, and she was ready to finally become a teenager. Growing up with divorced parents, Chafin and Kristen, Kelsey was used to having 2 parties, and this year she was going to go all out. The birthday girl had a few different ideas for her parties, but one thing was for certain: she wanted them to reflect how she wasn't a kid anymore and was finally growing up. Even though she was growing up, Kelsey had a very special relationship with her mom. Kelsey wanted her birthday to represent her turning into a teenager. That meant a sleepover with some of her good friends and something else, something big. She wanted to go to the salon and get her hair highlighted for the first time. A bunch of girls at her school were getting their hair done, and at 13, she thought it was the right time for her mom to bring her in. After being pampered at the salon and getting her first ever highlights, Kelsey's mom drove her over to her father's house. She was excited to see her dad's reaction. After all, it was a big change in her look. She wasn't Daddy's little girl anymore, but when she got there, Kelsey couldn't have been more wrong about her father's reaction. She didn't think he'd be happy per se, but she could never have predicted what happened next. Even though her parents were divorced, it's not like Kelsey didn't speak to her dad. In fact, her parents' divorce had it so that each parent spends an equal amount of time with their 4 kids, Kelsey and her 3 younger brothers. Whether it was going to baseball games or hanging at the house, Kelsey always enjoyed spending time with her father, Chafin. But their relationship had nothing on the special bond she shared with her mother. While Kelsey enjoyed spending time with her dad, she had a special relationship with her mom. They lived together and were pretty much the best of friends. They had long talks together, and Kelsey felt comfortable talking to Kristen about pretty much anything. She's even the one who brought Kelsey to get her hair highlighted for her birthday. Even so, it hadn't always been easy for the soon-to-be teenager. Even though they split, Kelsey's parents remained on good terms, keeping things peaceful for the sake of their children. They even agreed on how they should raise their daughter. They sat down and made a set of rules each of them would follow when it came to discipline. Needless to say, they wanted what was best for Kelsey, and that meant being amicable and the best parents they could be. While Kelsey would have loved her parents to be together, they weren't. And not long after they separated, her dad found love with one of his fire station colleagues. Eventually, they wound up getting married. Both Kelsey and her mother were happy for him, and Kristen didn't care about the new woman in his life as long as she didn't interfere with how they discussed and agreed to raise Kelsey. The good news for Kelsey was that both her mom, dad, and stepmom lived in Fostoria, Ohio, making it easy for all of them to have a relationship with the young girl. It also made it easy for them to celebrate her birthdays. And her 13th birthday was going to be a day Kelsey and her parents weren't about to forget anytime soon, and it all started with a present. Kelsey's parents wanted to get her something special for her 13th birthday. It was a big deal that she was becoming a teenager, after all. While Kelsey wanted a Mia Hamm jersey, it was out of Kristen and Chafin's price range. So Kristen decided to ask Kelsey what she wanted. She was growing up, so it only made sense that she had a specific gift in mind. The thing is, the gift was very unexpected. Like many girls her age, Kelsey enjoyed doing makeovers with her friends. Still, that hobby didn't prepare Kristen when her daughter answered the "what would you like for your birthday" question. As it turned out, Kelsey wanted to spice up her dark brown hair with some blonde highlights. Honestly, it was the last thing Kristen would have guessed her daughter would ask for, and the request worried her at first. Kristen wasn't prepared for her daughter asking for highlights. While it was a normal thing for a young girl to want, Kristen wasn't sure if it meant her daughter was self-conscious about the way she looked. Either that, or she asked for the major makeover because she wanted to be more like her mom. Kristen had been getting highlights in her hair for years. Maybe Kelsey wanted to follow suit. Kristen asked Kelsey what she wanted for her birthday. She could pick whatever she wanted because she asked for highlights. Kristen knew there was no good reason why she should say no. It was a predicament, but on the other side of the coin, she was about to turn 13, and girls got their hair done all of the time. Maybe it was just a case of a mother being sad to see her little girl growing up. It was her daughter's birthday, but that doesn't mean Kristen wasn't nervous about what Kelsey had asked for. To settle her nerves, she came up with a great idea. Instead of sending her daughter into a salon to get highlights done, they would do a mother-daughter salon day. They'd both sit in a hairstylist's chair and get their hair highlighted and cut, and they'd even go and get their nails done. Kelsey was so excited. The salon her mother has gone to over the years offered everything a young girl could ask for: manicures, pedicures, haircuts, and even massages. She was about to have a great day. Not only did she get her hair highlighted as she wanted, but Kelsey would wind up getting the royal treatment. She and her mom even got matching manicures and pedicures. It was the perfect day. Kelsey was having a fantastic day at the salon with her mother. But it all came down to one thing: how was she going to look with the highlights? It was finally time for the big reveal, and when Kelsey's hairdresser finally turned her to face the mirror, she couldn't believe her eyes. She looked like a totally different person. Kelsey couldn't have been more pleased with the outcome, and Kristen had to admit she looked beautiful. Kristen wasn't done yet. She had one more surprise in store for her daughter's big day. After their time at the salon getting their hair and nails done, Kristen took Kelsey over to Sephora for a makeover. Her daughter couldn't have been more thrilled. Kelsey had no idea her mom had this plan up her sleeve and kept it a secret all day. She was really getting a completely new look for her 13th birthday. Kelsey felt like a totally different person and couldn't have been happier with her makeover. Of course, Kristen couldn't pass up a chance of taking a picture of her daughter. Her smile was just too big and bright. Kristen snapped a photo of her daughter, posting it to her Facebook page to show everyone how beautiful she looked. Little did she know that someone wasn't overly happy with Kelsey's new look. After everything was said and done, it was time for Kelsey to go over to her dad's house. While there, Kelsey typically stopped using her phone, wanting to spend all her time with her father and stepmother. This time was different though. This time, Kristen had woken up in the middle of the night, knowing something was wrong. She just couldn't put her finger on what was happening. She was about to find out soon. Finally, it was the day Kelsey was coming back home to Kristen. The thing is, the girl walking through the front door was unrecognizable. Not only was her face puffy and red from crying, but there was something wrong with her hair. She had a hood on so that Kristen didn't notice at first, but her daughter's hair, the hair she was so excited about a few days ago, was chopped off, gone. It wasn't even as though Kelsey went back to a salon to get her hair recut. Her hair had been butchered, chopped off with no styling whatsoever. What had happened to her poor daughter in the few days that she was at her father's house? Kristen was at a loss for words. Kelsey wouldn't even show her face because she was so embarrassed by her new look. Now it was up to Kristen to get to the bottom of what happened. Knowing Kelsey's hair was chopped off while staying at her father and stepmother's, Kristen drove directly over to their house. She was so angry, it's amazing she got there in one piece. Racing to the front door, Kristen demanded answers from her ex-husband and his new wife. How could they have let this happen to their daughter? She was so happy, and now she wouldn't even look at herself in the mirror. Kristen wasn't prepared for what she heard next. Apparently, Chafin and his new wife Sarah didn't like Kelsey's new hairstyle, thinking it was too adult for her age, so they punished her for it. They took it upon themselves to cut all of Kelsey's hair off, because hey, actions have consequences. The thing is, Mama Bear was about to go off on her ex and show him just how true that statement can be. After learning what her ex-husband and his new wife did to her daughter, Kristen drove straight to the police station. Explaining what happened, the police commander went on record saying the mother was upset at how her child was being cared for. The haircut was done against the child's wishes under the direction of the girl's father and stepmother. And it didn't stop with that one trip to the police station. After the station found out what Chafin and his wife Sarah did, they went directly to his place. They were placed on administrative leave, aka suspension, from the Middletown Township Fire Department. The department didn't want to be associated with people who would do something as horrible as chopping off a little girl's hair without her permission, and that was just the beginning. Kristen was about to bring her ex to court. Kristen wasn't about to let Chafin get away with what he did to Kelsey. She brought him to court, and after stating her case, Kristen was granted full custody of her daughter. On Facebook, she wrote, "After 5 hours of testimony and evidence provided by both parties, the magistrate's decision was for Kelsey to live with Mom and her siblings. A huge weight has been lifted off of everyone's shoulders, and we cannot be any happier." Kristen and Kelsey couldn't have been more pleased with the court's ruling. Her daughter really wanted nothing to do with her father or his new wife. Her trust toward the two adults was totally gone. Unfortunately, she still had belongings at their house and had to get them. But that was a step one of the strong women in her life was more than happy to help out with, her Aunt Kelly. Not only did her aunt take it upon herself to grab Kelsey's things, but she also set up a GoFundMe for her niece. The hope was to raise funds so Kelsey could go back to the salon and get another makeover. It's not a cheap process. Amazingly, the GoFundMe wound up raising a few grand, even though Kelsey's aunt only put the target price at $1,000. Strangers really wanted to help Kelsey feel better. With all of the funds raised at the GoFundMe page, Kristen brought her daughter back to the salon. At Lady Jane's, they were met by a group of hairstylists ready to give Kelsey the ultimate treatment. A little surprise set up by her godmother, Haley Ann. At Lady Jane's, the stylist let the young girl know that the sky is the limit, and they would help her make her hair dreams come true. Kelsey knew what she wanted to do with her hair, but the thing was, she had to wait a little while for her natural brown roots to grow back. Instead, she decided to ask the staff about their wigs. The 13-year-old opted for a long brown-haired wig to put over her chopped hair. She was finally starting to feel like herself again. Kristen was so grateful for everyone's help in making her daughter feel beautiful again. By the end of the whole traumatic ordeal, Kelsey's birthday story had gone viral. Strangers from all over were commenting on Kristen's stories and pictures and even sharing them on their own social media accounts. Even though they're strangers, they were all there for Kelsey, telling her she was beautiful inside and out, and no length of hair was ever going to change that fact. Thankfully, Kelsey has a smile back on her face.